The year is 2005. A 7-year-old Chelsea is using that name for the very first time in Pokemon Emerald. In this one cave, she finds two of the coolest first form Pokemon in the game. The tiny meteorite Aeron, and a Venus Flytrap girl Mawile. I didn't want to use two different steel types. After the Leaf Green rival made me think that using two Pokemon that share a type was a bad idea. So, since this was my first time getting to enjoy girly things, I chose the one that's a girl with a bear trap on the head. As I play through the game, I don't really use her all that much. She hasn't even learned a single steel type move. Little did I know she never will. She isn't really all that tanky, and at this point she hasn't really resisted all that much. She feels so frail despite the steel typing, and offensively she barely does any damage. I was 7 without internet access. I had no way to know any of these Pokemon stats. All I had was vibes. This was not helped by her having no good attacking options. Eventually around Moss Deep City she learns Crunch. Still not powerful at all, so she ends up unused for the rest of the game, cause at this point I'm sure she will never evolve to my confusion. This was my introduction to a Pokemon that had so much promise, but ended up so lackluster. Mawile is based off of a yokai with a second head. Already great just being a yokai to a little weeb. But even cooler was the giant metal Venus Flytrap. There's little as badass as a carnivorous plant, though it does make me wonder why this wasn't dark grass. Probably for the best, but still weird. She feels a little underdesigned for a final stage, but it's such a cool idea. And the steel type added a little mystery, and put it in the small group of Pokemon with the best type at the time. They even gave her Intimidate, one of the best abilities out there. So, how did they fuck it up? Easy. She's in this odd group that I don't have a name for, but when I say Sneasel, Farfetch'd, Lickitung, Girafarig, Murkrow, Sableye, you should get the idea. All Pokemon far too weak, and often lacking good moves. They feel like they're meant to get people asking for a new evolution next generation. For some concrete numbers, Mawile has a base stat total of 380, stronger than a first stage starter but less than a second stage. In fact, it's weaker than most of that list. So by level 16, it's lagging behind in stats already. But lo and behold, most of that list got a brand new evolution. However, some did take 2 decades. Mawile happens to be in a group with Sableye. This is Mega Mawile. It's mega fixed literally everything about it. In fact, it's probably one of the best implemented, cause Mawile in base has a neat addition to its Mega. Before you Mega Evolve, you get off Intimidate once. Kind of like a pseudo version of Zamazen's ability, raising its defense on switch-in. It's something I find kinda neat because most Mega Evolutions just throw the entire base form out of the window. It also is probably the biggest jump in viability from a single Mega Evolution. Even Sableye, who shares the same base stat total, had a niche ever since it got the ability Prankster, which makes its status moves always go first, giving it an underused ranking in Unova, and a niche in Ubers alongside the box legendaries. Mawile meanwhile has been stuck down in PU, the lowest tier, though she does seem to have an actual use case down there, which is better than I expected back when I went to check its viability before Gen 6. There are a few downsides to the Mega. Having a Mega Evolution means that in any generation without Mega Evolutions, they will be stuck being nearly useless. And as they come out with more Mega Evolutions for ZA, the opportunity cost becomes greater. You are only able to use one per team, so Pokemon that function only as a Mega now aren't just competing for a spot on your team, they're competing against every other Mega Evolution. This means if, let's say, Mega Sableye is necessary on your team, you don't have the choice of Mawile. Meanwhile, a Pokemon like Salamence still has a use case in its base form. It might even see more use in base form, cause giving up a little power on Salamence might be worth something like a Mega Mawile alongside of it. Cause this is in fact a Mega that you will want to use. Even in higher tiers, it's one of the best visually too. There are a few designs I was labeled as perfect, and when I say perfect, I don't mean it's one of my favorite, but that is not a thing I would change. The squiggle to the mouths make them look both more plant-like and demonic at the same time. It's so badass. They are also nice because now no matter what angle you're looking at her from, she looks scary and elegant as hell. Her dress is also a lot nicer now. Actually looking like a dress while not looking too much like actual clothing, cause that can kill a design easy like sock and throw. The colors aren't my favorite scheme, but they fit wonderfully together. This Pokemon looks like it was dreamt up by Nemo in 2010, who was both a weeb and a huge My Chemical Romance fan, and it's so nice. And usage-wise, this Pokemon might shine even harder. For one, they made both forms of Steel Fairy. Thematically, this makes sense to me, since Fairy's the best equivalent term an American would know to Yokai, cause Ghost never seems right, and Demon implies too much malice. And how good is this new typing? Incredible. Probably the best. Who knew combining the two best types into one would result in a type that almost every single typing tier list or ranking has at number 1. This alone wouldn't make up for everything. In fact, if you look at the stats, they just seem okay. Like, these aren't that good, but at least it has some bulk now. The biggest upgrade adds even more stats than a Mega Evolution. The ability Huge Power. This ability was a huge boon to another Pokemon blessed by the Fairy typing, Azumarill. For those unaware, it doubles your attack stat. This doesn't mean your base 105 attack. This doubles your attack including the boost from your nature, the genetic boost cut IVs, and the training boost cut EVs. If you're like me and prefer hearing concrete numbers, the minimum attack at level 100 is 215, so 430 after Huge Power. Already a good number, 1 point over max attack Rampardos. But with maximum investment in her attack, she hits a stat of 339. After Huge Power, this is 678. Mawile is still slow. 50 speed is really slow. She has the defenses now that this isn't too bad, but also she gets Sucker Punch, one of the high power priority attacks. Sucker Punch does need you to predict that an opponent's about to use a damage dealing move instead of a status move, but in most battles, most of what you're gonna see are damage dealing attacks anyway. Also, wanna know something really funny? Remember that big attack stat? She gets Swords Dance. In one turn, you can intimidate the opponent, Mega Evolve, and then hit Swords Dance to hit an attack stat of 1356. This may be part of why they nerfed Sucker Punch. Taking it down 10 base power doesn't sound like a lot, but that is 135 points chopped off of that next strike. The power they cut off from that attack is probably enough to kill me if I tripped on a rock first. I'm sure once they bring back Mega Evolutions, this is going to be in the upper echelons of tournaments, at least occasionally. To think she started life as that cool little critter in that cave that would struggle to fight her way out of a plastic bag. I am so glad that Game Freak didn't let her languish in Girafarig hell, rotting for decades, cause on paper this is one of the best concepts they've ever thought up. It's one of those things that anyone given the prompt, yokai girl with a metal carnivorous plant as her second head, will come up with something cool. If it feels like a middle schooler's OC, you know it's gonna rock. By the way, thanks y'all for liking the last video so much. If you haven't seen it, consider checking it out. This has been Chelsea, bye.